On this crazy brain. I am going off the rails on this crazy brain.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know who else on here yet. We're going to have to get right into it. We got a bunch of information to cover tonight. Catherine is not going to be on again. No fault of her own. It's not even medical charts this week. It's actually her eldest daughter is graduating from college with her master's degree. So they have family and all kinds of people in town, and they're having to do, whatever it is that families have to do right at graduation time, and families coming in. I think her nephew's even graduating from college with a degree. I'm not sure what it was in. So her brother that works at the Pentagon, or is retired from the Pentagon, I can't remember right now, but he's in town. So it's been hectic for Catherine all the way around. So, okay, I'm going to show you what flyer I had picked out for this evening. Just give me a minute. So in case any of you guys tuning in are not on my Facebook, this was my flyer for today. So every time I try to plan something, you guys, all kinds of stuff falls into our lap. Okay, so we have been covering anchor parks. We've been covering the National Priority Superfund site. We've decided Superman's not coming because that's the lesson we learned when we talked to Erin Brockovich. She basically told us we have to figure out how to save ourselves. So we're on the water, environmental contamination, and all of a sudden the last couple of weeks, guess what? You're right. Data centers. The discussion for data centers came up. We went to, I think it was the Candy's house and the meeting they had over in, it's just outside of Ingalls on one of the properties that's going to be close to the data center. So we have a lot to discuss. So anyway, data centers, anchor parks, political games. Now, after further discussion, we have figured out that it might be too hard to try to cover all three subjects tonight. So just know that these are going to be the subjects that we will be tackling the next couple weeks on the podcast in person, all the way around. So what we had talked about doing for tonight, starting out with the anchor parks. I don't know if any of you guys have been paying attention to the anchor park saga, but it is quite fascinating at this point. Okay, that's the wrong video I wanted to show. Okay, this is the video from County Council. They just re-nominated Nancy Anderson to be on the County Parks Board, and a lot of us are not very happy with it, mainly because all the stuff that's been going on with the anchor parks in general. Let me pull up one of my other pages. For the past couple of years, the county parks, the Greenway project, all that stuff that went with it. But in order to get to what we want to talk about tonight, we got to talk about what happened last week at the County Parks Board meeting. And I want to pull up one of my recordings because it shows me the timestamps. I haven't been able to get all these uploaded to the YouTube channel yet, so I'm going to pull this one up instead. Let's see. Okay, so let me get this where I can position it. So instead of telling you guys what all transpired, I'm going to let you hear what happened. And the main thing we want to look at for this particular meeting is when Ken Kaczynski started talking. So it's kind of closer to the end of this meeting. Let's see. He's talking right here. Is that? Let me see who this is.
Extras for us. I feel like if they did end up spending $800 million on the property, or that's a lot of money. $800,000 on the property, but yet we're going to be able to get, even more.
Okay, yeah, he's coming up right in here.
Throw it out. So you should know your number.
Okay, this is him.
I think what we did though.
See, this is hard when you go live and you're trying to
Public
find a
meeting will
point.
probably have at least a rubric, if not a number of items or a number of options narrowed down a touch. But
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. After the meeting, I'd like to talk to you for just a second.
Okay, here comes
Do you have
Tim.
a recommendation for me?
So let's see. Can you guys see that? Karen, where are you at? Are you? Oh, okay, here you are. Okay, can you, on your screen, Karen, and I know I'm a little behind, like the lag time is off a little bit, but can you read the screens right there? Can you read what it says? Hello, Baxter 1. Let me get my comments pulled up. Can you see them on that end? Okay. So basically, I like this because the CC's on, but I don't know if I can make this go bigger. So hopefully you guys can just hear what it's saying, and I'll take myself off the screen. And then I'm going to go ahead and play this clip for a little bit, and then I'm not going to play the whole thing. Okay, well, if you can't read, what are you on? Are you on a computer, Karen, or are you on a phone? That's the other issue. Okay, no. Oh, I know what I can do. No. It's going to make my screen on my, okay. It's not going to. So I want to still be able to have my, can't really read it that way. Okay. Hopefully that helps some of you. But I'm going to go ahead and play this, and I want you guys to listen to the exchange that our elected official. Okay. Yeah, we're talking about data centers, and I have to use AI. I mean, it's just where it's at. I use this thing on the program, and in order to be able to find this. Yep, you're right, Karen. So, okay, anyway, I'm going to push play. So what we're talking about right now is anchor parks. And this here is the County Parks Board. This is the newest member of the board. She was not appointed by Ken Kaczynski. This is Nancy Anderson that we're going to be talking about a lot tonight. This has been Orcutt, which is the president. Rachel Christensen, Jessica Baston was fired maybe a few months ago, and this has just turned into a huge nightmare. But some of the things that I want you guys to be listening to, and if I have to push pause, yeah, I know, Karen. I might push pause, okay, so that I can point out a few things, because as this starts going, this is insanity, because basically what you're going to hear, you can't even see my arrow. Let me see. How can I show you my arrow? Can you see my arrow in that one? Nope. Okay, there you can. All right. This woman is going to say something about $4 million, and all they need to do is hit $1 million, what they talked about they wanted, and they don't care how they spend the other $3 million to get to $4 million, as long as their stuff is done. Now that to me is a little insane, because it was our ARPA fund money. So, okay, let me do a little backdrop. The County Parks Board was created. Okay, yeah, before I get into this, just let me go here. I want to show you this page. So for those of you that don't really have a backstory on the White River Greenway, this kind of breaks down. In 2024, the ARPA leadership team, county commissioners, and county council approved $4 million to the Parks and Recreation Board, which was created just to help them spend this ARPA fund money. Maybe vice versa, but they wanted to pull off this White River Greenway project, okay, which in the clip of county council on Tuesday, Nancy says it was never going to be a trail. So I'm like, well, how is that, when there is clearly evidence that shows that they were originally planning a trail and the public came in and stopped it. So now what we're getting ready to listen to is the county Parks Board pretty much telling Ken that there's nothing that we can really do about it, and they're not wanting to answer Ken's questions. But for those of you that want to learn more information, this is on the Madison County, Indiana website, and it'll kind of give you a breakdown, like the history, the context of the ARPA, the American Rescue Plan Act. So where we're at in the video is now we're like 3 years out or 2 years out, and we have to have this money expended by the end of this year, 2026. And this project has been so crazy. So Ken points out that there was $800,000 spent on swampland, okay, when they shouldn't have paid that much. So there's concerns about how and what they're spending the money on, and they start fussing in this clip. So I'm at least going to let it play for a good 10 to 20 minutes so you guys can get caught up to speed here on whatever we're going to be the topic, anchor parks. So here's Ken versus the County Parks Board.
He's already
You
submitted
gave
it.
a few last month. Yep.
All right, guys. I'm Ken Kaczynski. I am your county surveyor. I do have some issues. 2 months ago, you weren't here, Rachel. Ben, well, let's start. I asked 60 days ago for the expenses. I don't have them. You assured me with whoever came from your group that I would get the expenses. Don't look surprised.
No, I'm not looking
Okay.
surprised.
Let's not do that. This is nothing new. And don't roll your eyes at me. Do not do that to me. Do not disrespect me that way.
Hostile, and
No, do not disrespect me up there when you roll your eyes. I don't appreciate that. Give me the respect I would give you. I asked for the expenses for 60 days ago. You guys didn't know the numbers, and you still don't know the numbers. And if you do know the numbers, because you've been in contact with this gentleman, why don't the other board members have them? Are they not on the board also?
I think what we did though, we signed, I guess, Ken, I'm not understanding that the line items, the issue with line item things right now, because when we signed the, can I finish first?
Yeah, sorry, you're right.
And I'm trying to be very helpful. make sure that we're on the same page on understanding why the request is happening. Because from my point of view, when we signed the contract with Avenue, it was for a lump sum agreement, a lump sum amount. I don't necessarily understand why the line, and this is not saying that we won't talk about these things, but I guess I'm not understanding where you're coming from on the line item things. I guess what is your concern with it on if we have a lump sum and that lump sum agreement is not changing? Where are you coming from on this? What's better?
Sure. Numbers come easy to me. We accept numbers from this board and many other boards without questioning. Your job is to be good steward to the money that you were given, correct? We can all agree. When I asked you for numbers 2 months ago, nobody knew nothing. You're the steward of the money. Let me finish now. Hold on. Let me finish. See, you guys just said.
Well, you
Okay.
hesitated for a second.
But I'm going to give you an example here. I just don't throw it out just to throw it out. So you should know your numbers. You should know where all the money's being spent. You spent $800,000 on a piece of property, correct? On the Eastern Park?
We did not buy a property.
You should have known how much they spent. It was your money. It's not their money. You control the money. How did we spend $800,000 on a property that was bought not many years before for $200,000? And we gave $800,000 for swampland, basically, wetland. How does that happen?
I have a question.
Sure, sure.
I guess if we are getting the amenities that we've contracted with them to get, I mean, I think this is what we brought in for on a BOT project is if we had a lump sum fee that we said, Avenue, this is what we want at the end of the day. This is what we're going to purchase from you. And there was the amenities listed that are the ones that are the above the line amenities that have to get done, including the purchase of the property. So from my perspective, if they're getting us the deliverable at the end of the day, that is what we agreed to as a deliverable. The line items within those that what we agreed upon, I guess that doesn't concern me as much. If they were coming back to us and asking for more money above the 4 million, I would have some absolute issues with that. But if they're giving us everything that we've asked for in our contract and that we've agreed upon, I guess I'm not as concerned with the amount of the line items as long as we are getting all the line items for the amount at the end of the day that we agreed upon.
And beyond that, we're ahead of budget. We're likely to be getting more than what we originally scoped up above the line. As that
So if we can
language.
get some of those things that we did not agree upon as the 4 million that are kind of extras for us, I feel like if they did end up spending $800 million on the property, or that's a lot of money, 800,000 on the property, but yet we're going to be able to get, you know,
Even
extra
more.
amenities. I think that's a win. I think that's a win.
Okay,
Yeah. So I guess.
I hear what you're saying,
Okay.
but I totally disagree with you guys. And let me tell you why. I can tell you, I can deliver as a contractor, here's $2 million, I can give you $2 million. I can shave costs and I can pad money if I needed to. I'm talking $800,000. Let's just go back to that number. How do you know it was not a sweetheart deal? There's not many people here. But let me finish, please. How do you know it's not a sweetheart? I don't know. I'm asking you that. When a property sold for $200,000 to $800,000, where's the deal being made at that point? Did you get more than one bid for that property? Or did they come and say, if I own the property, I want $1 million, okay, we'll give you $1 million. How did that come about? Did you get more than one appraisal for that property?
Then we should have asked the board if this was the thing that was important. We should have structured our contract differently and not done it as a failed operation.
You're missing my point. You're still the steward of the money. I don't care if it's a BOT. I really do not care. Do not keep throwing that out at me. Yeah, you gave them money. At the end of the day, they're going to sign it over to you. I understand what that means. So I'm not ignorant to that fact. What I'm ignorant to is how we're spending this money and not questioning. I don't care if they deliver whatever. You should question every line item that comes in to make sense. Are they spending the money correctly? Maybe they could spend more, or they could have saved you more money than what they have. You don't know that. You're accepting whatever it is because they come under. Those are just, to me, those are fluff words at this point. We're going to save you this. We're going to save you that. Who's going to make the determination where that money's go? Because they saved you more money. You were given $4 million. Me as a steward of the county drains, when I spend money, I get 2 bids. I'll find the right person hopefully to do that, because at the end of the day, I'm only the steward of their money. I don't control the money. It's not my money. Same for you. It's not your money, but you're the steward of that money. And you to put Jason, floors me, and correct me if I'm wrong. Jason is overseeing this project. Isn't that part of the group you're working with? You should have an outside independent person. That's why Patty brought my name up, to look at everything that goes on.
Yeah.
You're giving them a blank check. I asked 60 days. I made it very clear as an elected official. I put somebody on the board. I want the paperwork. I have it. I had it before you guys ever had it. The sad part, I could get it and I had it. You don't know what's going on. There's my concern. You can shake your head no all you want. You didn't know 60 days ago, and you sure don't know today. And if you're going to have the expensive, you two are going to speak. My person needs to know what's on the board, what's being spent to. And she asked you earlier, I would like to know the expenses. His comment, I have to get back with you. We don't get back. I want to know, I want the paperwork of what you spent. I am the elected official. I put somebody on the board. We made that clear 60 days ago. You asked Jeff. Jeff made it very clear to you, the county attorney. I like to know. I want a report. Let me finish. I want a report on what you spend. Because when I put a person on the board and people ask me what I did correctly, I can say, here's what I had to put into it at that point. Instead of giving a blank check or it's a board and that's it. I would like to know. Then also, 60 days ago, you said you would look into having a night meeting. I'm all for having a night meeting. You can change. You made a comment, oh, you can't have them. Jeff made it very clear. You did say it earlier. She's been corrected. 48 hours. I will get Angie to come run the streamer.
And for some reason, every time I watch some of these videos, there is a glitch whenever it starts getting good. And sometimes I freak out. I think I go ahead and refresh this one online. Let's see. Something happened. We didn't miss too much, but still. I don't want to hear me talking either.
Like to see you have some night meetings to let other people that live in that area to be able to come down. I've heard that numerous times from the people that live down there. Could you please look at doing some night meetings? 6 o'clock. We do have meetings in the evening. County council meets in the evening. Commissioners, they meet during the day. Drainage board meets during the day. If somebody came to me, I like to do drainage board in the evening. If the farmer said, hey, we like to be out there, or whoever we have, I would say, okay, we'll have a couple meetings through the evening. I had no problem. But every time something's being asked, no, I don't say no. Let me see what I can do. That's the difference of being open-minded about, okay, that's a good idea, or no, we're not. We're just going to follow this structure, and that's how it is. I think the board needs to be a little bit more flexible there. But I'm concerned about the 800,000. I really am, how that came about.
I guess, what do we do? What do you propose we do differently?
Well, I suppose you look at every line that comes in from now on. You should have questioned that $800,000. How did you not question it, guys?
What can we do about that, though, Jeff? If we've signed a contract for $4 million and we haven't agreed on, like,
Jeff, they have a right to question every bill. You can sign any contract you want.
You don't want your DOT thrown at you, but I'm gonna do it. It makes a big difference in this case because they are purchasing the whole enchilada. They're purchasing that part, and how they come about doing that's the magic of DOT. You don't or devil angel, look at it wherever you want to. But DOT is that you hire that person to do that work for you, including land acquisition, so the board's not involved.
And I think if we wanted to go through and be, like, we should have done a different contract if that was, if that was what we, if that was.
But we couldn't in this case because we didn't have, it was a timing issue.
That really has been a
Right.
recurring problem, not problem, but factor.
Yeah, challenge.
This whole thing.
Right.
You have had the ticking time bomb of December 31st of this year.
Right.
The whole time.
Yeah, and I would say, like, I think we've done our due diligence. I mean, we did have
We have a big
multiple
process.
people that
Yeah.
came in and interviewed for the process and gave us, what they could do for the $4 million. And so we chose what we thought was the best firm to deliver what we wanted with the $4 million. If Avenue was
Okay, I just have to stop it for 3.5 seconds and add that well, there was one more. There was a couple people that helped them make a decision on how they were going to spend this $4 million. And it wasn't the voters or the constituents. I mean, they've had some minor input, but when this has been full of nothing but residents that lived on the Greenway, there it is, on the Greenway strip, they wouldn't let anybody talk. So I want to pull up something real quick. So for those of you that don't know what they're talking about, or you're just tuning in, they're talking about the anchor parks. And I'm going to show this real quick so you kind of get a hint of the area. So we actually cover all kinds of stuff. The MPL site's right here. Follow this around. This is getting over here into Derby Downs and Rabel Avenue. This is the Anderson Waste Pollution Control. Okay, so right in here is the area that's being discussed. So they are wanting to put in a anchor park right in this area. And a lot of people are not happy with this idea. They think that they're trying to rush these anchor parks in and then try to continue building the Greenway project, which would make its way through all these different properties all the way down to, okay, let's go back out. It's a pretty, yeah, down here to Perkinsville. So it would follow the 8th Street and the White River all the way from Layton Road. But the problem is that all these properties are owned by somebody. Okay, hold on here. Karen starts putting really good information on here, so I want to read what she's saying here. Thomas Jefferson, that's a hard word, and enunciated the basic principle of public service. When a man assumes a public trust, he should consider himself as public property. DOI Gov, executive order. See, and I think that's one of the big things that's blowing our mind about the this particular subject. In that meeting, they just seem to be like so blatantly disregard for any of us. It's not even funny. How you doing, Terry? Or Six Puppies? Sorry. Carrying on. This one. Popular sovereignty, people's power, government source of authority is the people, and its power not legitimate if will the people disregarded. Annenberg classroom noted by Franklin and Lincoln. Send me a link to that information. Okay, let's get back to where we were at. So we're discussing the anchor parks. Well, I'm glad you're here, Six Puppies. So we are glad you're here. I know you have been doing some stuff here lately, maybe some medical stuff, and we're just glad you could tune in. So, thank you. Okay, so back to this clip. So basically what you're tuning into, Six Puppies, is the meeting from May 7th, 2026, and the Madison County Parks Board and Ken Kaczynski. And he's asking a bunch of questions. He's asking about the $800,000 that was spent on swampland. It's kind of hard for us to wrap our heads around that, because if the property was like at, I can't remember the exact price. So $200 to $400 a few years ago. Then how were they able to sell it for $800,000? Then in this clip, we're kind of in the process where they're trying to argue that the BOT is private and that somehow we don't have a say in how our ARPA fund tax money was spent, which I get that. The part I don't get is how nobody had a say so in the plan to build this, and they were planning on using people's properties to make their idea of reality. And so instead of, they weren't able to get the Greenway project in, but now they're getting the East End Anchor Park, which is a few properties away from, let me see, yeah, Nancy lives by an East End Anchor Park. Ben Orcutt owns a bike shop, and Rachel Christensen has a lot of conflicts of interest with things like Avenue and some engineering firms that might be making money off this project. So there was $4 million in ARPA funds, and they're getting ready to tell us, this is the kicker, and I'm going to paraphrase it. She basically says, as long as they get their $1 million, what they want to see in these anchor parks, they don't care what they got to do to get to that $4 million to build those two parks. I have a problem with that, just like Ken has a problem with it and a lot of other people. So I'll let you hear them say it. We'll do this one for a couple more minutes, and then I want to jump over to how Nancy was behaving at county council on Tuesday, and how there's a few little bloopers reels I want to point out with that, and how the county council responded to her. So let's get back to this for a few more minutes.
What this board on a vote thought was the best one, we wouldn't have gone with them, and we would have gone with someone else who was in it. But I guess for the process, I guess at the end of the day, this board with the contract that we have, we're making the decision that we don't care how he gets to the final part, as long as we are getting all the deliverables that we've asked for and we've agreed upon in the contract. He could have paid $3 million for that property and then built a park at the quality that we've agreed upon and the amenities that we've agreed upon for $1 million. As long as he gets it done in that $4 million, the line items don't really matter, because if we wanted to have that line item control, we should have done this as a different contract. And then yes, absolutely should be checking every single thing on that line item. But the way it was set up, that's not what we agreed to.
Jeff, I'll restate. I want every copy of the line item. I don't care what you said about the BOT. Honestly, I really don't care, because you're giving everybody that pays taxes, they can do what they want. I understand what a BOT is, and I'm not agreeing with this at all. I want every line item. I have that right to have. I like to look at it. And because at the end of the day,
I want to interject something else real quick. When I was talking with Ken earlier, it's so funny. I never see our elected officials out anywhere. And then I have seen Ken like several times this week while we were out getting things to finish projects for our house. And he was out doing projects for the county. He wanted me to give the definition. Let's see. Build. So what they're talking about is a BOT, and I'm going to try to have a definition pulled up real quick. So if anybody wants to study this on their off time, because this is going to be something that we cover, like the data centers, we'll be covering the anchor parks for a little bit, because this is just getting heated up with these guys. Okay. But it has a definition, and I just don't want to butcher it. Okay, so BOT, I'm going to show this real quick, then we'll go back. So build, operate, transfer. So BOT is a project delivery method where a private entity receives a concession to finance, design, build, and operate a facility, often large-scale infrastructure or IT centers, data centers, for a set period before transferring ownership to a client or government. This model allows for specialized expertise, reduced risk, and capital investment from the private partner. So the contract that the parks did, the park board did, seems to be very suspicious, and there's a lot of wiggle room for a bunch of people to be able to make money. That's why Ken's been upset. Now he has a copy of the contract. Catherine has a copy of the contract. In fact, Catherine's got some good posts on her page about this subject. Or anyway, Ken wanted me to make sure that everybody had an understanding of the BOT, what they were talking about, and I want you guys to see it on the screen. So if you want to go study this topic and just learn kind of on your own, you can still ask questions, but a lot of people like to do the research and go in the rabbit hole themselves. So this is what they're talking about in this clip. BOT. Oh,
Keep asking me, what about this, and this all the time? They're not asking you guys. They're not asking because they can't get anything from you. I am their advocate at this point. So I'm the one that's going to come, Rachel, and say, I like to see the reports. I can get them from the auditor. I have no problem. I like to see what's going to happen. If you're going to see the reports because you sit on the board and you two have already seen them, why hasn't Patty? And if Patty has them, she can get them to me, or if you guys can get them to me.
And I don't think I've had a report necessarily with the line items.
We had a
Again,
PowerPoint
my
last year,
concern-
at the last meeting that provided all those line items that are last.
I would like to see, just because at the end of the day, like I said, I report to
It's
other
actually
people.
recorded in our last meeting.
I'm not care if it's recorded or not. I like to have a hard copy so I can touch it, feel it, and I can hand it out to other people at that point. That's not too much asking. And I asked that for 60 days and made sure that they would do it.
Corey, at this point, are the numbers are not all hard numbers for all the components of the project, correct? Because, and I guess, when are those final? I mean, Ken, are you wanting the estimates on the parts and pieces that they have that are not?
I like to see the estimates if they're going forward, and I like to see what they've already done in the past. So we're working the rear. Let's go work backwards. Give me what's being projected and what you've already spent.
Is this appropriate to share, Jeff?
Well, it's not appropriate to share.
Because we are not.
I don't need a permission of what's appropriate to share. It's a public money that we have, ARPA money.
Because you,
It's
all of
it's not public at this point, I don't think.
I'll have to look at each and see if it's a public record or not. I mean, there's certain things that they would do internally that would not be considered necessarily public records. Although there is authority that says when you work for a governmental agency, you lose some of your private protections. It's touchy. If they would resist on one of those, then we would have to look at it. My thought is full disclosure.
100%.
But if you have a reason why something should be full disclosure, trade secrets or something like that, we'll stop.
And I think that's my question is like.
What would be trade secrets in a park board?
I don't know.
There's nothing should be not full disclosure. They cannot give me that I've asked for and going forward. So when Joe Public asks me, I can hand it to him, say, here you go, here you go, here you go, and not a problem.
First would be on them to demonstrate one of the exceptions. That's all.
Corey, can you come up to the microphone? Yeah.
yeah. And
so a couple of points of clarification. Burgess and Nyepel have never been under a company. They've always been separately contracted as designers through the county, and now they are technically contracted with you guys as owner's rep. We have regular coordination meetings. Jason Taylor schedules all those and runs the agenda on all of those to make sure that all of that is coordinated on your behalf. Second point of clarification is I didn't say we wouldn't share the numbers. I said I wasn't prepared to hand those in today. We're fine sharing our line items, whatever you guys want to see from us.
That'd be great.
Just let us know in what format you want those, and we'll make sure that we get those to you. We presented those last month.
Yeah, I was gonna say you did it last.
Right, and we presented what you were getting for the costs last month, so.
did that all come through in the email?
That is
Did you
on
see all
record,
that?
and there was a presentation that went with that.
I saw
I'll
the
have
invoice.
Pull that president.
For the current. Because he did a presentation at the meeting.
But if you need us to
I tried. I had issues with that presentation last month, so I'll have to go back and watch it. I don't remember if Ken gets back up here, if that was it. If that's it, we're going to move on with this subject. Hope he comes back, right? Did I see him pop up? Yeah, let me see.
Making sure that we're on track.
Okay. No, I think that's it for this one. So this video will be out on the YouTube channel here soon. You can find, if you want to go look at the, and I try not to edit these videos too much, but if you want to pick through some of the footage on your own without any commentary, you can go to, it doesn't show you on the screen. I'm going to put this in the comments on the YouTube channel and then flash it. Okay. So if you want to get a copy of what you see here, show it. That's not the right one. Oh. So that's where I'm at on this page over here, live public meetings of Madison County. So it pretty much has everything. Election board. Uh-oh. Woo woo. Hey. What is today's date? Date. Tomorrow. Lord have mercy. Nobody mentioned there was a election board hearing tomorrow at 1:15. See, I love when I find stuff. Okay, I gotta write this down. So wonder what it's about. I'm gonna be nosy real quick. Does anybody know about that? Election board? And see, oh, here's one of the things. I have been so snappy with Jeff Graham a couple times because like this, where's their agenda? Why doesn't the election board have to give us an agenda? Okay, hold on. My screens. Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Heather told me about it, so I don't have to be there. So I probably will live stream that for everybody if people want to talk about it while it's going on. Oh, come on. And the provisional ballots. Okay. Makes sense. So there you go, folks. That's what's going to happen tomorrow. This May. What is that? Can you see? Yeah. Okay. We're on the same page. This May 15th one. All right. So, but if you want to look at some of these board meetings historically, you can go to that link right here and take a look at it. That's all kinds of stuff. It has the board zoning and appeals, county commissioners, county council, drainage board, election board. There's several. And then you can go in like the parks board. And the reason why we record a lot of it is because sometimes, like this one, January 1st, there's no video. So sometimes we try to get someone in the room to get footage for us so we don't lose it. Okay, so there's that. Now I'm going to go on over here to Tuesday. So if you guys were not tuned in, let's see. There's one I was missing right there. Okay, private entity receives concession before transferring to client or government from private partner. See, now this is why some of us are really discussing this topic, on the BOT, because if you go back and look at what I just played, you hear her say, we don't care what happens to the $4 million or the 3 million, as long as we get the one. Like, as long as they get what they want, they don't care how it took them to get there. So if it takes them all $4 million, oh wait, is that what I? but that's the point. She said, I'm still over here like, How can you say that? Like, so you don't care about wasting $3 million if you get what you want? Well, that's, yeah. Oh, I have filed complaints. The HAVA, Help America Vote Act, Help Corruption Not People, America Harm for Personal Gain, Vote Program Systems Deny Transparency Act, Funds, Scams. Yeah, yeah. And so we get thousands of dollars for this HAVA thing, the Help America Vote Act, and we don't even have a proper working election process in Madison County. Okay, commission quote. And they said they're saving. Okay, so Ken brought this up earlier when I talked to him at Menards. He said that if they get that, if that's the number they get, then supposedly whatever that BOT contract that they signed with Avenue, then Avenue gets 50% of that. So we really don't save anything. Yeah. Then I'm going to answer this one and I'm going to go push play. But EAC, oh, okay. So something that's going to come up this weekend, probably by Sunday, and this, I promise to do these podcasts because I got some people really chomping on the bit to get some HAVA complaints filed with the state in the next week. And we've talked about even reaching back out to DC because now Brad King stepped down. And who was the other one? Brad King and the attorney stepped down. So we got some stuff coming on the HAVA. And that's where the political games in the original title for tonight's episode came from. But after talking with Catherine earlier, we decided that each one of these may have to have their own episode or their own podcast because there's just so much meat with each one of the topics. So I started with anchor parks, and we're going to work our way into the data centers because a lot of people don't even know that we're looking at even having the data centers here within the next 6 months to a year. But anyway, carrying on. This, let me see. This right here. No, that's the other one. This one. Okay. This right here is from the county council meeting from Tuesday. So I'm going to go ahead and push play and then I'll put the info in the comment section.
So have anybody else that reached out to them at all? I had one gentleman reach out to me. I emailed him back.
Okay.
And Miss Anderson is here.
I'm going to back up a little bit more. Just so for context.
You guys have it on your computer.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I don't think we have anything in old business. Next is.
Oh, you know what? I just noticed. Nope. There it is. Haha. Just kidding. Psych. I thought I lost my transcript over here, and it was because I lessened my windows. All right, I'm going to shut up.
The only one we have on the agenda today is the Parks Board. And Miss Anderson is here. If you want to come on up.
Good evening. I'm Nancy Anderson. I live at 4228 West 8th Street in Anderson.
So Nancy is currently on the Parks Board, and she was our appointment 2 years ago, January. We're a little behind the ballgame here, but we're working on that. Did anybody else on the council have anybody else that reached out to them at all?
I don't know why the words aren't popping up at the end. Like the CC. I guess this one's not letting us have the CC. And okay. So when I was at the county planning commission for the moratorium on Tuesday morning, I learned that they got new mics again for that particular room. So they've changed their mics again, and for some reason it's going back to the middle. We can't hear some of them, and what they said to me, they blamed it on some of them just have soft voices. So she really doesn't say much here. It's really boils down to this clip, and why I wanted to show it was Nancy, after having her little tiff with Ken last week. Bethany Keller alludes to this and asked the other council members if any of them had watched, and she was kind of questioning the appointment and why it only seems to be Nancy up there and nobody else really applied. And I feel like Nancy lies in this clip, and I'm going to have to go back through and clip it on another day. But for tonight, I'm going to let you guys see the full clip and decide for yourselves, especially if you know anything about the trails.
I had one gentleman reach out to me. I emailed him back and he's not responded. So I'm assuming that our only person that's before us is Nancy. So do you guys have any questions for Nancy now?
Hi. What have you personally done since you've been on the Parks Board that would justify a reappointment?
So we worked on the first, I would say 6 months of the board. We worked on a DNR master plan, and that was critical in really establishing our role as a county parks within the state so that they would recognize us as a viable entity for future grant funding. So we finished that master plan, and it's been published and available for everyone to see on our website. We did that, and then we worked on mission, vision, statements for our website. We also worked on marketing, logos, taglines, some collateral items. Most recently, I just attended Earth Day Arbor Fest to represent the Parks Board. So we passed out information about the new anchor parks, and just went through the entire bid process for our 2 anchor park projects. So, we were awarded $4 million to establish our first 2 county parks. So, in establishing those, we had to go through a pretty extensive bid process to find the right companies to really execute this work, which we just started this past week and a half ago. So we're excited about that. Just kind of staying busy. I think next, really just kind of really doing, we did a few public open meetings, to hear public comment when initially there was some rumors spread that we were going to be doing a huge trail on the west side, which never was the intent.
Okay, I have to pause right there. Okay, she just lied to the county council. I'm going to back this up and let her say this again, and then I'm going to show you how she just lied. Sorry.
Next, really just kind of really doing, we did a few public open meetings, to hear public comment when initially there was some rumors spread that we were going to be doing a huge trail on the west side, which never was the intent.
Okay, so let's look at this again. What was the countywide? All right, so I'm going to share this. This is the Madison County, Indiana website. Madison County ARPA Community Engagement Initiative, ARPA Home, ARPA Background, all this. And what I say a little bit ago, I told you were going to hear a clip tonight that this woman's going to say that the intent was never to build a trail. I don't know about you guys, but this right here, White River Greenway feasibility study. Why would you be having feasibility studies if you weren't planning on having a trail? Then it tells us it's our ARPA money, tells you who's on the ARPA teams. Burgess and Neipel helped prepare that. And then we went from the trail idea down to, and she was there. See, here's her name right there. So she's on this Parks, Trails, and Open Spaces master plan. That's a countywide plan. I know they had these discussions in the Parks Board. I've listened to a lot of these meetings, and I'm pretty sure that if you drive down 8th Street, West 8th Street, going out of town, I even had a sign here, but if you're driving out of town, you can see all the no, I forget what the sign said now, because there was like two different signs, but they didn't want the trail. No 8th Street Greenway Trail. That was the bottom line. And then, so is this the same page? That's the same page. The bottom line is, why would you have a Greenway feasibility study and spend any of our $4 million if that wasn't the plan? And see, that's what I'm saying. Like, what? Like, it feels like she just gaslit everybody right there, you know? Like, what do you mean that wasn't the intent? And then, okay, I'll just let her go.
Meetings, we meet monthly. Not so sure that that will continue just based on the project's going to be wrapping up here at the end of the summer. So we might go to every other month meetings. I'm just speculating right now. Trying to think what else. We need to work on bylaws. I mean, there's lots of future work.
Okay, hold on. You need to work on bylaws. Isn't that already supposed to be done? I'm a little upset about that one. Because here I am. I'm trying to write bylaws for the Veterans Coffee Club, and you mean to tell me that the County Parks Board, that's been in operation for 2+ years, doesn't have bylaws? I would like her to I would like more information about that, and I'll have to be asking about that at some other point. But oh my goodness,
To be doing. When we had a park director, that person really kind of kept the needle moving. So, the last 2 months kind of slowed us down on some of the projects we had when it came to marketing and all of that. But we contracted with a marketing professional to kind of help us with that through the end of this year. So I work with her quite a bit. But yeah, just staying really busy with the 2 new projects. So
I've received some complaints about transparency with the park board, specifically in regards to agendas not being posted ahead of time, and also in relation to financial reports. Since you're our appointment from the county council, and the county council is the fiscal body of the county, I would expect you on the board to be watching the financials of the park board and making sure that those financials are in the county's best interest. And I'm not sure that that's been happening with the parks board.
I think there's some confusion on when you talk about financials, because I think what we're hearing from a few individuals is that we're not being transparent about the costs of the project when we signed a contract for $4 million for a BOT process. So I think there's some educating of the public on what the BOT process is. This is something it's not unique to our work, but because of the timing of the funds, it was the way we just devised the project to take place. When you're not in a BOT process, you can actually go step by step and approve every line item. That is not what we had time to do. So I think it comes across like we're not transparent, but again, I don't know what else to say about the BOT process. I think it's just, it's really, I think what our goal is to put something out on the website on how the BOT process works so that people understand, like, this is how it works. We contracted with a company for a certain dollar amount to give us an end product, and I don't know what else to say. I'm sorry, Bethany, but I mean, we know exactly what we have to work with. We just paid our first invoice last month. So, I mean, we don't have a huge budget to work with. We started out with 500,000. We probably have about 450,000. We just approved 2 invoices for the project at 14,000 and some change and 40,000 and some change last month or 2 weeks ago. So yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot of money going in and money going out. And the public was at that meeting to hear, what those invoices were. So I don't I don't know how I can be any more transparent with the finances.
I think I'm frustrated because as an elected official, I'm getting complaints.
Yeah, I'm sorry you're
The
getting
council,
complaints.
We approved the ARPA project
Mhm.
initially. And at that time, I felt like we were gonna have, more say in how it was gonna happen, because we just kind of, like, when we approved the money, it was to work on the master plan and see what needed to be happening. And now there's the actual project and we've not had any more say over it. So we delegated that job to the Parks Board. But then you guys went and contracted and made the BOT. And now I'm just not sure who's overseeing the financials.
Bob, could you
So,
speak? Would you have any-
so that company's called Avenue, and
Right.
they attend our park board meetings, and they are pretty transparent about where they're at in the project. And, you know, I believe it's a private entity. So I think our attorney was going to look at how much they have to disclose. What I understand and what I was told about the BOT process and what I've learned along the way is that we are paying for a product. We are paying as a park board $4 million for 2 parks. So I think where some individuals were getting upset was that, you know, they wanted us to start counting asphalt units and they wanted us to, they thought we paid too much for land, which, you know, and personally, I don't feel like we did, but I didn't pay for it. Avenue paid for it.
No, the taxpayers paid.
Right. But what I'm saying is we also went through a bid process to get 2 parks for $4 million, and that's what we're going to get. And that's what our taxpayers are going to get.
What did you want?
I just wondered if Mr. Clutter had anything to add about the control over the, yes. Anything else you wanted to add?
Can you use the microphone? I'm sorry.
So, okay, guys, there you have it. I don't know how much more they go, and you can't really hear him talking. This is some of the stuff that makes us mad. So already you can tell that there's a sound issue. We can't hardly hear them. And now they've got these new mics, and whatever mics they've gotten aren't necessarily working again. So I don't get it. But I'm kind of thinking that I don't really want to get into the data center stuff tonight, just because I think I need to have a little bit more groundwork put into studying what I'm getting ready to present. Even though I was going to read a lot of Catherine's posts, there was one thing she really, really wanted me to look at, and I didn't get to look at it. So I'm thinking I'm just going to go ahead and get off here for tonight, end with these anchor parks and Nancy Anderson, and I'll come back around. I'll do a bunch of clipping, and I'll have that out in the next couple days too. Definitely by next week. But this weekend, we will delve into the data centers probably on Saturday sometime, and I'll try to get an announcement out early in the day that we'll be doing it. And then Sunday, we can go into some of the political games that have been being played. I have so many complaints out. Nobody's answering me. So it is what it is. But all right, guys. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and cut out. And hopefully some of you guys can get back on here with me this weekend and delve into the data centers. And I appreciate you guys for tuning in with me. And I'll talk to you guys later. Shalom.